Well, the first fellow that ever did move into these parts come here all alone, except for the fact that he was accompanied by his 3 dogs. Their names were Ino, Eno, and Come to Co Calico. Now, they were no kind of hunting dogs, and he was no kind of hunter, so they never did get to eat any meat, hardly at all, until one day. He's sitting there in his bed, listening to his stew pot of vegetable stew boiling and bubbling, bubbling and boiling, when he hears a kind of scrabbling, scratchy noise. He sits up and looks over to the hole in the floor. That'd be that hole that he's always meant to cover over but never did. And he sees this snout come up out of the floor, and it's got long whiskers like on a warthog, and then a head, and then a body. It was all sort of oozing up out of the floor like there's a giant hand down there just squeezing it up, and the head was bigger than a coyote, and the body was covered with quills like a porcupine, but it weren't no porcupine. And last of all, following it is this long, snaky, rat-like tail, leaving a mucid trail of slime behind it. And well, he's just scared to death. He can't move. He's frozen till he sees where it's going. He sits up and says, "You will not get my stew." And he reaches down and grabs his little hatchet and he goes after the thing. Boom, boom, boom. He's coming down with that left and right like a madman. He's trying to chop on it, and all of a sudden his dogs, they come out from underneath the bed. Eno, come to go Calico. Get him, boys. Pow! They go out through the front door. They're chasing that thing as hard as ever they could. Chases that thing 5 miles down into the swamp till he can barely hear those dogs. He wiped his brow and he goes back into the cabin, and when he looks down, oh Lord, right there on the cabin floor, still writhing and wriggling around, he had cut something off of that thing after all. It was a long, snaky, rat-like tail. He went over and he rolled that thing in some flour. It was still moving, you know. And then he puts it into a skillet filled with hot grease. Just frying it up golden brown. He stabs that thing with a fork and holds it up long as a man's arm, and it's still moving, you know. And he just takes that thing and he just sucked the meat off the bones, and well, it did stop moving then, you know. A little while after that, the dogs come back, and that's when they heard it. Scratch on the cabin floor, scratch on the cabin door, and a voice what said, "Taily Po, I want my Taily Po." Dogs, it's that creature, he's come back. Go get him, boys, go get him. And the dogs come boiling out from underneath the bed. Chase that thing 5 miles away down into the swamp till you could barely hear them. Finally, they come back. They're tired. Underneath the bed they go. And the old man, too, they all fall back asleep for about an hour. And that's when they heard it. "Taily Po, I want my Taily Po." Dogs, go get him. It's that creature again. Those dogs were tired, all right? So they went after that thing kind of slow-like. They could hardly move. Woof, woof. They barely could move, but they chased that thing slowly until you can barely hear them. Long way away. And that man, when he saw that, he closed and bolted that door, ran over, got in his bed, pulled those covers up, and he waited. Well, it was midnight when he heard it. "Taily Po," scratching the cabin door, scratching the cabin floor. "I want my," he said to himself, I better get my hatchet. You remember where he left that hatchet? Out on the front porch. Now, he went to go and get it, but as he looked over to the floor, there was that hole, the one that he always meant to cover, but never got around to doing. In the inky blackness were 2 fire-red eyes staring up at him. Quick as a wink, he lay back in his bed, pulled the covers up over his head, and he held his breath. He was as quiet and still as ever you could be, and nothing happened. He thought maybe that thing is gone. I'm going to take a look and see. So he just peeled those covers back just ever so slowly, said, I'll just get it so I can look out with one eye. And when he got it right there, Taily Po! Now, did that thing kill that man or eat him or what? I do not know. But I will tell you, the cornerstone to that cabin, it is still there. You go find that thing. You sit on that thing and wait till midnight, and you will hear it in the wind. Taily Po, I got my Taily Po. Oh yeah.